Welcome to Mangaverse Recaps, your favorite manga recapped weekly.
There are some things in this world you should never let yourself trust. That's the hard lesson our narrator opens with. He's made that mistake before, and every single time, he was the one left paying for it. The kindness of girls especially, those soft smiles aimed his way. In his experience, not one bit of it was ever really meant for him. Meet Youta Tohno, an ordinary high schooler with one ironclad rule: never trust a girl. And he didn't arrive at that rule by accident. See, Yuta has an absurdly good-looking older brother the whole school swoons over. Time and again, girls cozied up to Yuta only to use him as a shortcut to Rei-sama. After enough of that, he slammed the door on trusting any of them for good. So when a certain classmate greets him bright and cheerful every single morning, he files her under the same category as all the rest, after his brother, including, he assumes, her. Her cheery greeting has become a daily ritual. She keeps saying good morning until he grudgingly mutters, "One back," a tiny tug of war neither of them will drop. One well-aimed good morning from her, though, and his heart betrays him with a traitorous skip. He scolds himself to get a grip. Why on earth is he this flustered? The girl is Izumi Houjou from his own class. Cute, quietly popular, and, rumor says, the perfect match for his dreamy third-year brother. Which, to Yuta, only confirms his suspicion about what she's really after. Then she throws him completely off script by asking what kind of bread he likes. Melon bread, he admits. And next thing he knows, she's nudging him toward the cafeteria like it's already settled. What is this girl's deal? During PE, a teammate leans over with a grin. Hojo's really cute, isn't she? And you think so too, right? Yuta promptly short-circuits. Everyone agrees she's the whole package. Cute, smart, wrapped in a mysterious air. Out on the court, she suddenly begs Yuta for a pass, then completely bricks the shot. But she looks weirdly thrilled with herself anyway, as if missing were a personal triumph. His friends catch him staring and pounce. Busted. Then she flashes him a soft little smile from across the gym, and his brain flatlines. What was that even supposed to mean? Houjou's been driving him up the wall lately. He can't read her at all, and strangely, she's never once mentioned his brother. A wild thought creeps in. Could this girl actually be into him? Meanwhile, in her own head, Izumi just quietly hopes the boy she's fallen for will finally notice. Next morning proves his point, or so he thinks. A painfully cute first-year shyly presses a gift into his hands, while passers-by buzz about who she is. To Yuta, it's just more confirmation. She was one of them all along, because this has been the story of his whole life. For as long as he can remember, every girl who seemed interested in him was really angling for his brother, beaming at Yuta while their eyes tracked the golden boy walking just ahead. Even the ones who were genuinely gentle with him, who stopped to ask if he was okay, he learned to wall off. Kindness, in his book, was only ever bait. He keeps flashing back to one girl in particular, holding something out to him. "You can use this," she offered, and all he could think to ask was, why? Wasn't she supposed to be chasing his brother like all the rest? The question visibly baffles her. She has no clue why he'd ever assume that. Her answer is disarmingly simple. It's because she noticed him, that's all. Flustered, he stammers out a thank you as she gently pushes the little gift into his hands. She just smiles, warm and completely unbothered, and tells him he's welcome. A moment that clearly lodged in his memory far deeper than he'd ever admit. There's a catch though. The handkerchief she lent him is her favorite, so he'd better bring it back. And instantly his guard slams up again. Surely this girl must be after his brother too. What other explanation could there be? Back in the present, red-faced and rattled, he renews the vow. Never again will he let himself be fooled. Nearby, a friend cheerfully wonders if something nice just happened to him. So that's our jaded hero in a nutshell. The problem is, the girl orbiting him now doesn't fit his tidy little pattern at all. New day, same suspicion. Out of nowhere, Izumi Houjou asks for his star sign. She's been hovering near him non-stop lately, which, naturally, he reads as one more angle toward his big brother. He grumbles that he's a Virgo, and she instantly closes the gap, reaching right for his face as a classmate yelps her name. He nearly leaps out of his skin. What is she even doing? Enter Urara, Izumi's bubbly friend and a devout horoscope believer, complete with a daily lucky outfit. Virgo's lucky color is blue today, she chirps, which is why Izumi ditched her unlucky green tie. Izumi just nods along, dead serious. Yuta's takeaway is bleak. He'll never crack whatever's going on in this girl's head. Girls like her lie, he reminds himself. He doesn't buy horoscopes, and he certainly isn't about to start trusting her. And yet the whole day goes sideways on him, one rotten break after another. His friends notice he looks completely wrecked, and a creeping dread sets in. What if Izumi's unlucky day forecast was dead on this entire time? Then Izumi calls out that he dropped his lucky charm, and promptly stumbles straight into him. He catches her on reflex, both of them flushing bright red as he blurts an apology. As the fangirl stampede for Rei-sama comes thundering past, Izumi yanks Yuta clear before he gets flattened all over again. Lucky for him she was there, she points out. He can only blink. Thrown off balance. She leans in close to note that he's wearing his lucky color today, and he nearly combusts, demanding to know what her deal is. His friends are just as lost as she breezily asks why he called her over in the first place. Elsewhere, the usual swarm gushes over how dashing Rei-sama looks today. When someone realizes his little brother goes to the same school, the whispering starts, and Yuta, overhearing, is reminded all over again why girls get under his skin. Back in class, Urara announces his return like breaking news. Girls only ever come at him to reach his brother, he reminds himself, so he'll never trust a single one, least of all Izumi, who picks that exact moment to welcome him back. Small problem, she's parked in his seat. When he says so, she just slides over and offers to share half of it, a suggestion that nearly short-circuits him. He's certain it's all a move toward his brother, even if half the class clearly adores her. A friend teases him for scribbling so confidently in his notebook. Big mistake, because Urara cheerfully reveals it's surprise math quiz day. Yuta's stomach drops as it hits him that he completely forgot. The carnage is total. He pulls a glorious 5 out of 50 and books himself a mandatory makeup test. His friends gleefully pin the blame on Izumi for distracting him beforehand, which he hotly denies before trudging off to study. Hoping a change of scenery will help, he drags himself to the school library and promptly stares down the same problem, still hopelessly stuck. Then a quiet voice pipes up right at his shoulder. It's Houjou, calmly informing him he got one wrong. He nearly launches out of his chair. What is she doing here? Turns out she genuinely uses the library, which catches him completely off guard. He'd pictured her at some trendy cafe after school, not tucked away with a light novel sporting one of those absurdly long titles. For half a second, he almost lets himself believe the prettiest girl in school likes him, then instantly shoots it down. No way. A buddy wonders why Yuta suddenly relocated to sit by him. He mutters that it's nothing. Izumi observes he's written precisely 0 answers. Rumor says she's a top student, something he flatly refuses to believe of this girl. She teases that he flunked, then gets flustered when he counters that she zones out over her novels in class too, right before she smugly reveals she aced the thing. When he tells her not to just do as she pleases, she flings the line right back at him. He snaps that she's the one who asked in the first place. She groans that he's impossibly stubborn, and then, almost shyly, she makes an offer. She'll walk him through the parts he doesn't get. So the unlikely study session begins, and the clock quietly slips later and later. At last, he slaps his pencil down. Done, having basically hammered every answer into his skull. Hey, Houjou, he starts. He wants her to check his work. Thing is, she finished ages ago and was simply waiting on him. A small, warm beat of 2 kids studying side by side as the afternoon winds down. Yuta's mind spins. Could Houjou genuinely be into him? Was she really just sitting there waiting for him to finish? And if so, why? The two of them study on, shoulder to shoulder. She checks his work and declares it correct. And the simple warmth in that one word sends his heart slamming against his ribs. He bolts the instant her mom gets home. Completely frozen up, but the payoff lands the next day. A perfect score on the makeup test, while a stunned classmate can't believe he's still hanging around at all. One tiny correct from her. And this supposedly girl-proof boy is left utterly rattled. And it's only going to get worse for him from here. We catch up with Yuta on grocery duty, drifting through the supermarket and wincing at the price tags. Vegetables, he mutters, have gotten outrageously expensive. Clearly a kid who keeps one eye on the household budget. Then, basket in hand, he nearly collides with Houjou, out shopping herself. She greets him like it's nothing, while his brain scrambles to work out why she's here of all places. Seeing her in casual clothes instead of the school uniform throws him completely. She looks genuinely cute, and he stamps out the thought. She's messing with his head again, he insists. What is he even thinking? He sneaks a look at her shopping list and discovers she's blowing her budget on snacks instead of what she actually came for. Priorities all wrong. He lectures. Snacks come later. Put these back first. Grumbling that he'll never crack this girl, he catches the look, she shoots him, and finally caves, snatching the list to run her whole shopping trip himself. Thanks to him, she walks out with everything she needed. A surprisingly attentive move from a guy who swears he wants nothing to do with her. She thanks him and heads off, leaving him grumbling about how he got roped into it, right as a neighborhood auntie spots him and lights up. The auntie assumes Houjou's his girlfriend, and he nearly detonates. Absolutely not, just a classmate. But she figured they were close. They looked like they were having fun, maybe even on a date. That word snags on something in him. Has he ever actually seen this girl laugh? Not once around his brother, at least. He can't even picture what her real smile might look like. He's that convinced she's only using him to reach Rei-sama. Wallet a little heavier, he reaffirms the vow, never deceived again. None of this is fun to him, supposedly. Later in the pouring rain, he spots Houjou stranded without an umbrella. It's none of his business, he tells himself, and forces his feet to keep walking, and then he doubles back. Shoving his umbrella at her, he mutters that she'll catch a cold, so she can just take it. She blinks, thrown, and hesitantly asks if he's really sure. Somehow this ends with the two of them walking home under one umbrella. So much for simply handing it over. He apologizes as their shoulders knock together, marveling that most girls would have flatly refused to share. But she says it's fine, standing far too close for his heart's good. It's built for one person, she reasons, so there's really no helping how little room there is for the both of them. Still, he can't let it go. Surely she's only buttering him up to work some angle. It's not like she's genuinely enjoying his company, he insists to himself, right as a car comes tearing toward a puddle beside them. He shouts a warning and throws himself in front of her, catching the full muddy wave as the truck roars past. She asks if he's okay. He says he's fine, never mind that he's the one now soaked to the bone. She gently notes he'd have gotten drenched anyway without his umbrella, and he grudgingly concedes she's right. Standing there dripping together, something finally gives. A tiny pfft slips out of her. And then she's laughing, really laughing, asking through the giggles just what on earth he thinks he's doing. For the very first time, Yuta watches her light up completely. He mumbles an apology, she thanks him for shielding her, insisting she's fine even as he insists she isn't. The clouds begin to break, and he's left reeling. What a strange girl. One who laughs at the oddest possible moments. He files her under someone to stay wary of, but the walls are visibly cracking. She nudges him to hurry home before he catches cold, and he can't quite finish the thought of what exactly she's starting to mean to him. That laugh loops in his head on repeat. Whatever box he keeps trying to shove her into, she flatly refuses to stay in it. Back to the everyday. Yuta, first year, a proud 167 centimeters, the exact same height as Izumi, his friends gleefully point out. Matching, they tease, while he stubbornly insists he rounds up to 168. At the shop, classmates catch Houjou looking impossibly cute even while agonizing over which drink to buy. When Yuta finally asks what's taking so long, it turns out she's 10 yen short, so grumbling the whole way, he just buys it for her. Time for the legend of his brother, Rei Tohno, the untouchable Rei-sama. So dazzling, people swear roses bloom behind him and petals drift down whenever he passes. His friends wonder if Yuta could manage the same if he tried, to which he says, not a chance. Then comes one of school life's little chaos events, the seat change, and fate rolls its cruelest result. Izumi Houjou, the one person he's most on guard against, ends up right beside him. She politely hopes they'll get along. He manages a strangled agreement while internally spiraling. Of all people, why her? A trap lying in ambush inside a simple seating chart. But he decides to spin it. A golden chance to finally study Houjou up close and see through her mask. When she catches him staring, he panics and claims he's merely admiring the mountains. He accuses her of being after his brother like all the rest, swearing he was only gazing at distant scenery for his health. She's mystified, and he gives up reading her entirely until he notices her school supplies are all adorable and sparkly, the exact opposite of his own. One thing catches his eye, a squishy little mascot she calls the Lays Dog. She decides it kind of resembles him, which his friends find hilarious and which he loudly refuses to accept. In the end, he just spun his wheels and learned nothing about her. What is she even thinking? Any second now, he figures, she'll do what everyone in that seat does, start mining him for intel on his brother. That night's study session drops a small bombshell. Houjou pulls out a pair of glasses. Yuta's completely thrown. Somehow he never once noticed she wore them. Turns out her eyesight is genuinely bad, which is why the board's a struggle from the back row. And it slowly dawns on him why she was squinting at those mountains earlier. She mentions growing up playing out in the forest, a secretly outdoorsy kid. When the teacher springs a question on a daydreaming Yuta, he freezes. He wasn't listening at all. Under her breath, Houjou quietly feeds him the answer. He hesitates. What if she really is handing him the correct answer? But can he actually trust a single word this girl tells him? He rolls the dice and repeats it, and the board lights up right. She didn't trick him at all. She's practically dancing in her seat. Grudgingly, he mutters a thanks. She just nudges her glasses back up, looking thoroughly pleased with herself, and he feels his face go hot. Why does she seem to be enjoying all of this so much? He decides to trust her, just this once, since she did bail him out. Then he asks the obvious question. If her eyes are that bad, why not simply swap seats with someone? Her answer is simple and quietly devastating. She likes it here, and he gives up all over again. He cannot read this girl for the life of him. Naturally, another seat lottery looms, threatening to exile her to the very back. A friend offers to trade so she won't be stuck so far away, and Yuta catches himself dreading the shuffle more than he'd ever admit. Houjou peeks back at him, cheeks faintly pink, clearly happy right where she is, leaving him to puzzle over just what it is he keeps noticing in her. Glasses on, smile sly, she's quietly rewriting his whole picture of her, one tiny surprise at a time. Lately, she keeps fishing for his opinion. This ribbon, that one, well, how about this? He finally asks why she always wants his feedback, never once clocking that his is the only verdict she actually cares about. He's also noticed she lights up every time she opens her pencil case, and it's driving him nuts not knowing why. Bracing for maybe a photo of his brother, he sneaks a peek, only to find it crammed with Lay's dog goods. She's simply overjoyed by her own stationery. A quick aside with the friend group. Not every girl is chasing Rei-sama after all. Urara, gloriously, is far too in love with herself to bother. And honestly, they all adore her for it. On the bus for a class trip, Urara rallies everyone for a card game and ropes Yuta in without bothering to ask. He protests being volunteered, but the whole group is already dealing him in. The occasion, a day trip for outdoor learning, equal parts nature appreciation and forced class bonding. Yuta only landed in this group because his friend Takamiya waved them over, and he's already got a bad feeling about it. Worse still, he's grouped with Houjou, and it's time to assign curry team roles by a quick contest. Winners getting first pick between cooking and the dreaded firewood duty. Naturally, he isn't even paying attention when it kicks off. Word from the upperclassmen is that firewood duty is absolutely brutal, so Yuta desperately does not want to lose this draw. He simply cannot afford it. He loses anyway, dead last or close enough, and gets exiled to firewood duty. To his surprise, Houjou's right there beside him, having landed in the very same bottom-tier crew. Hauling firewood up a punishing slope is no joke, and he keeps glancing back to check whether Houjou's surviving. She wobbles under her armful but grits it out, then cheerfully announces they're done, when they're nowhere near it. As he studies her yet again, a new face turns up. Hasegawa, a sweet ribboned classmate who stops by to make sure Yuta's group is holding up all right. She tells them never to hesitate to call if they need anything, radiating so much warmth it's obvious why she's counted among the class's shining stars. Houjou trudges back with a quiet apology for the wait. It's plain that Houjou is hopelessly unathletic, wheezing after the climb. When he ribs her for it, she deadpans that they'd better hurry or the curry will be gone, and he scrambles to insist that wasn't what he meant. She catches him fussing over her and just says it, he's a nice guy. He splutters, demanding to know who says so. And she simply thanks him, plain and sincere. Back at camp, disaster waits in the pot, a bubbling, unidentifiable blob that was supposed to be curry. The rest of the group, it seems, tossed in every secret ingredient they could get their hands on. One taste confirms the horror. It's genuinely dreadful. Yuta instantly takes command, sending a teammate off for fresh ingredients and water so he can rescue dinner. Meanwhile, the girls compare notes. Apparently, Yuta cooks a ton, and sometimes even packs his own bento. The thought of the girl-averse loner being secretly domestic clearly fascinates them, and he pulls it off. The salvaged curry comes out genuinely delicious, the whole group raving that his rescue mission saved the day, mystery ingredient and all. He's quietly anxious about one verdict in particular, though. Houjou eats without a word, and he starts to spiral. Maybe she hated it. Hey, Houjou, he finally ventures. She glances up and says it plainly. It's delicious. And his heart betrays him with a heavy, undeniable thump. Why is her approval making him this happy? It's not as if he needed her opinion, he insists, even while wiping a stray grain of rice off her cheek. Surely it's just the compliment to his cooking. Surely. Then a teacher bursts in, fully costumed, to launch the day's big event, a Mountain Edition treasure hunt. Yuta blinks. A treasure hunt? As the whole class erupts with excitement for the adventure ahead, the chapter opens on that same warm beat. Houjou savoring his rescued curry and telling him it's delicious, the moment still lodged firmly in his chest. Later, the group plays Old Maid, and Yuta's sweating out a final showdown just to dodge last place. Houjou leans in and simply stares him down, close enough to fluster him completely, coolly asking if he's picked yet. On her turn, he's holding the joker and shamelessly broadcasting how thrilled he is with his hand, trying to bait her into taking it. His friends instantly clock that he's toying with her. Certain she's the one saddled with the joker, he lunges for a card, and she clamps down on his hand mid-draw. A ridiculous tug-of-war erupts, him yelping that she's the one cheating. He finally wrenches a card free, positive it's the safe one, and flips over the joker. He'd been dancing in the palm of her hand the whole time, played like a fiddle. Then the main event begins, a treasure hunt across the mountain, following a map and cracking riddles for a supposed 1 million yen prize. Nobody actually buys that it's real money, but the group charges off buzzing all the same. Yuta and Houjou drift to the very back, her shuffling along at a glacial pace. The others are overflowing with energy, and he can't shake the sense that something about her is off today. The first riddle stumps everyone. What does their teacher get up to on a day off? Wrestling, bowling, or aerobics? A cool million supposedly rides on it, and the whole group is hopelessly lost. Houjou answers without missing a beat. Bowling. She'd caught the teacher mention it in class, a small miracle given that staying awake in that class is a feat all its own. The group's floored, while Urara loudly demands equal praise. They cheer Izumi's save. Without her, they'd have bombed the very first question. Yuta studies her, telling himself she seems fine, as she quietly flushes under the applause. Riddle after riddle topples as the group tears through the course, drunk on the dream of that million yen. Yuta just marvels at where everyone's finding all this energy. Then it hits someone that Houjou's missing. She said she was fetching water, but she's been gone far too long, and the clock's ticking down to its final minutes. His imagination runs wild. Could she have wandered off chasing a butterfly and gotten lost? He fakes a flimsy excuse about being parched and slips away from the group to go find her. Told to be careful, he bolts off through the trees. Houjou's spacey and impossible to read, he reasons, better safe than sorry. Sure enough, he spots her. There you are. Turns out a prank sign reading treasure down here lured her clean off the trail. Classic her. Relieved she isn't actually lost, he moves to rejoin the others, then notices something that stops him. Is she hurt? He realizes she's favoring one foot. She's stunned, he even caught it. But he'd watched her act off all day. Why hide something dangerous? He presses gently. She doesn't have to push herself this hard just for some field trip. Her reason lands quietly. She pushed through the pain because she genuinely badly wanted to come on this trip with everyone. With him. His heart slams. All this time he'd written her off as unreadable, and now she's wearing her feelings right there on her face, plain as day. It rewires something in him on the spot. When he teases her over the sappy confession, she pouts, thoroughly put out, and bonks him on the head until he laughingly throws up his hands and apologizes. Since she can't walk, he hoists her onto his back. She frets that she's too heavy. He scoffs that she's way too light and should eat more. Turns out she got blisters from brand new shoes she was too excited to break in. And she softly admits the curry and the whole hunt were really fun. He remarks that she's actually pretty easy to read after all, and she instantly deadpans that she was only joking, sending his pulse straight back into overdrive as she murmurs his name. Carried through the hushed woods, she leans against him and thanks him, simply, sincerely, for coming to find her. Izumi Houjou, the girl he swore he could never trust. And yet, with her arms looped around him, he starts to suspect she's far simpler and far more genuine than he ever let himself believe. That day, he realizes, is when he first caught himself wanting to believe in her. Even just a little. As for the hunt, the whole class does make it to the treasure in one piece. The million yen jackpot? A tower of classical studies workbooks. The groans are instant. Nobody wants homework as a prize, and they cheerfully try to fob the entire stack off on one another. In a bonus beat, the gang fusses over Houjou's genuinely nasty blister and scolds her for hiding it, only to get sidetracked by the discovery that even her socks are covered in lazy dog print. Rewind to the day before the trip. Izumi had been quietly, nervously prepping snacks to share, all but rehearsing exactly how she'd hand them out to everyone. But on the ride home, worn out, she never got her chance. Instead, nodding off against Yuta's shoulder, A small, unguarded thank you, all on its own. A new face steps into the spotlight. Hinagi Hasegawa, the school's picture-perfect beauty, already knocking out committee work at dawn and offering to help carry things. Flawless and impossibly sweet by every appearance. When the Rei-sama fan mob jostles Yuta, Hasegawa steps in to shoo them off, scolding them for bothering him. He mumbles a flustered apology, thrown by the unexpected rescue. She waves it off warmly, and Yuta notices something rare. Hasegawa doesn't seem the slightest bit interested in his brother. What a genuinely wonderful person, he thinks. Then comes the truth. In private, Hinagi Hasegawa is a rabid, completely unhinged Rei-sama superfan, swooning over his scent of the day and losing her entire mind. That flawless angel act is a very, very thin disguise. Turns out, watching Rei-sama from afar no longer satisfies Hasegawa. She's dying to know the real him. She's already scraped together everything about his school life, so now she sets her sights on the ultimate prize, his private life. And her way in is obvious. Rei-sama's little brother. She flips into full scheming mode, greeting Yuta all sunshine and sweetness, fully intending to pry the goods right out of him. Her probing goes nowhere fast. Homework, the weather, anything to open a thread. And Yuta swats away every attempt with flat, utterly disinterested non-answers. Behind closed doors, she loses it. What is with that guy? Any normal boy would be thrilled to chat with a cutie like her. Regrouping with a scheming smirk, she's certain he should have been an easy mark. Watching from the sidelines, Izumi Houjou clocks Hasegawa circling Yuta and quietly files her away as a possible rival, while Hasegawa spots Yuta's homemade bento and decides to eavesdrop for dirt. As Yuta explains, it's just last night's leftovers, Hasegawa pounces with rapid-fire questions. What does the family eat? What does Rei-sama like? Silently begging Izumi to help her crack him open. Izumi's grand contribution is a flat nice, and Hasegawa nearly detonates. That's it? Not one follow-up about Rei-sama? The whole scheme faceplants spectacularly. It slowly dawns on her that learning about Yuta gets her nowhere, and yet she keeps accidentally asking about his tastes instead of his brother's, thoroughly disgusted with herself. Somewhere in the mess, a flicker of odd kinship passes between them, right until Yuta catches Izumi eyeing his lunch and dramatically vows she'll never make off with his bento. In the end, Hasegawa learns nothing except more about those two, wailing that all she wants is to be near Rei-sama. Her notebook, meanwhile, guards a distinctly not-so-secret secret. I love Rei-sama. She swears she'll crack it next time. Surely they're sitting on juicy Rei-sama intel. Then the scene shifts home, as Yuta trudges through the front door. And there's the family secret laid bare. The dazzling Prince Rei-sama is an absolute slob behind closed doors. Yuta figures that if anyone at school saw him like this, they'd drop dead from the shock. The next chapter recaps the walking paradox that is Hinagi Hasegawa, beloved, dependable class rep on the surface, gloriously unhinged Rei-sama fanatic underneath. Over lunch, the group debates their favorite bento sides, tamagoyaki, little octopus sausages, bacon-wrapped asparagus, and Izumi, whose appetite had been idling, perks right up the second Urara's excitement kicks in. Back to the running gag. Roses all but bloom around Rei-sama at school, then instantly wilt at home, where Yuta can only despair at his brother's catastrophic bedhead. Things have only gotten more chaotic lately, and now it's school-wide deep cleaning day. Hasegawa brightly insists on helping Yuta as his friend. News to him, as the two get saddled with weeding duty. Yuta's read on Hasegawa is that she's just weirdly aggressively friendly, but he can't crack her angle, and he's proud he didn't leak a single thing about Rei-sama. She, meanwhile, is wilting, exhausted, and no closer to her goal. Undeterred, she launches Operation Friendship. Figuring the road to Rei-sama runs through building real rapport with Yuta first. Then, reaching for her most treasured comfort object to recharge, she goes still. It's gone. Panic sets in fast. Her precious memento bookmark, the one she never lets out of her sight, has vanished, and she spirals into full-blown despair hunting for it. Elsewhere, Yuta's friends needle him for going soft, helping Houjou with that piggyback, mellowing out around girls. Is his whole phobia cured? He hotly insists he still doesn't trust a single one of them, as if it'd heal that easily. But the second he spots Hasegawa crushed over her lost bookmark, he and his friends offer to help her search. No hesitation, count them in. They split into teams to comb the school, Yuta dragged along despite his protests, and he ends up paired with Hasegawa herself. She manages a flustered little thank you. Up on the roof, she finally describes what they're hunting, a bookmark with a single sakura petal pressed inside. A gift, she says, from Rei-sama himself. Yuta connects the dots aloud. So this is why she's been buttering him up lately. She denies it, but he just shrugs it off. He's long since gotten used to being treated as a stepping stone. The gift, it turns out, was a petal that once drifted onto her head, which Rei-sama plucked away, and she treasured it into a bookmark. It's rare for his brother to give anyone anything, and Yuta can't resist ribbing her for being a touch obsessed. Tearing up, she confesses just how much she loves Rei-sama, then tries to let Yuta off the hook. She'll keep searching alone, sorry for dragging him into it. He tells himself it's fine, he owes her nothing, and yet, while she keeps combing elsewhere, she suddenly notices that Yuta has already slipped away. He's quietly retraced her entire day down to the one spot left, the weeding patch, working out on his own exactly where the bookmark might have slipped free. She finds him elbow deep in the garbage bags, digging for her keepsake. She's stunned. He doesn't have to go this far, especially when she was only using him. But he just keeps searching. His friends fill her in. Girls have exploited Yuta to reach Rei-sama since they were kids, which is the whole reason he can't trust women. And it lands like a gut punch, because that's exactly what she's been doing. Yet the instant anyone's in trouble, he can't stop himself from helping. A walking contradiction who gets taken advantage of, precisely because underneath it all, he's simply a genuinely kind person. And then, there it is. Yuta fishes the missing bookmark out of the trash and holds it out to her. Here, Hasegawa. Clutching the recovered bookmark, Hasegawa apologizes for everything and thanks him through her tears. He just waves it off. It's okay. He can't resist pointing out that lugging a Rei-sama keepsake around at all times is peak brother complex behavior, which leaves her mortified all over again. Then she owns up properly. She'd been sweet-talking him purely to mine him for Rei-sama intel, and she's genuinely sorry. From here on, no more of that. She bows in earnest apology, then breaks into a real warm smile and admits it out loud. He's actually kind of a good guy, newly enlightened. True love means gathering her own Rei-sama intel. Thank you very much. She offers Yuta real friendship. His answer is an instant, flat no, which sends her reeling. After such a wholesome moment, the bickering rolls on, Hasegawa insisting he should show his softer side more, since it'd make him popular. He shrugs it off. Every girl just uses him anyway, like she did, earning an indignant, "I already said I'm done with that." As the group makes plans to walk home together, the question comes up of whether that includes Houjou, and Yuta's thoughts drift straight to her, because for all he's finally figured out Hasegawa, Izumi Houjou remains a complete and utter mystery to him. Hasegawa reads the room in a heartbeat, whacks him on the back, and cheers him on toward Houjou, dubbing him her future little brother-in-law, to his flustered horror. And just like that, she's officially joined the party. In a bonus gag, Izumi chases a Lays Dog capsule toy, but keeps pulling the same rare bunno 5 times straight, then wisely quits while she's behind. A girl who knows exactly when to walk away from the gacha. Later, drawn to that very same machine, Yuta somehow lands one himself. Not that he wanted it, he insists, even as he's quietly, undeniably pleased. He marvels that pulling the identical toy 5 times running is practically a superpower, caves to just one spin, scolds himself mid-crank, and does it regardless. The next day, the whole friend group is utterly stumped. How on earth did Yuta end up with the exact figure Izumi couldn't get? Not one of them has a clue. A new arc opens with the sports festival on the horizon and a practice day underway, where Yuta tears down the track, leaving everyone gaping at just how fast he is. During a break, he finds Houjou wedged into a laughably tiny sliver of shade, one leg jutting out into the sun, insisting the absurd little spot is perfectly fine. The reason? The roomier shade would have meant trampling the flowers, and she simply couldn't do it. That quiet, offhand kindness catches Yuta genuinely off guard. Hasegawa, now wearing her precious bookmark upgraded into a necklace, tracks Yuta down with a pitch, a relay race between teams. It's a mixed-grade relay, and she's already signed him up and rallied the whole class behind his back, betting on his speed. With no real reason to refuse, he grudgingly admits he's in. Then comes the catch that lights Hasegawa up like a firework. Rei-sama's running too, on the rival blue team. Joining means a head-to-head sibling showdown, and that's exactly where Yuta checks out. Not interested. He walks off flat, ignoring Hasegawa's anguished cries to her little brother-in-law. Because this one cuts deep. Ever since childhood, his one and only rival was his big brother. And no matter how hard he ran, he was always half a step behind. Little Yuta swore he'd win next time, every time. Plain, average, gifted with nothing in particular, forever chasing a brother who could do anything without trying. Somewhere along the way, ground down by always finishing second to Rei, he simply stopped trying to be number one at all. He gave up. He calls it his ugliest trait, that bone-deep certainty he can't beat his brother at anything. The lone exception, he figures, is dull everyday life skills. And then Rei himself walks up. Rei warmly invites him to walk home together, for old time's sake. And Yuta's real fear finally surfaces. It isn't quite that he'll never be the best. It's that he's terrified of being measured against his brother at all, so he blurts out a flimsy excuse about a forgotten errand and bolts. He runs from it, from everything, until he trips and goes tumbling in a heap, left wondering what on earth he's even doing with himself. And as he lies there, scuffed and deflated, a voice drifts down to ask if he's okay. It's Houjou. Mortified that she watched him wipe out, he's stunned when she cheerfully admits she face-planted in this very spot the other day, and found the ground so comfy she kind of loved it. She talks up the perks of her accidental discovery. The sunlight here is wonderful, and there's even more to it than that. Sure enough, a stray breeze off a nearby fan drifts over them, and the two just lie there in the warmth, festival practice humming in the distance, a small, quiet balm for a bruised heart. A fresh chapter opens with festival events getting divvied up, the infamous bread-eating race included, as the group jokes about swimming through a sea of carbs and dodging the events nobody wants. To his own bewilderment, Yuta finds himself confiding in Houjou. He's not that fast, his brother will be racing, so he'd rather sit the relay out. Why is he even telling her any of this? She just blinks, genuinely puzzled. She doesn't really follow the complicated stuff, she admits, but why should his brother being there rule anything out? Then she says the thing that stops him cold, plain as anything. Tohno is still Tohno, isn't he? It's so straightforward it disarms him completely. He starts to protest that he'll only get compared to his brother, and trails off, floored all over again by how differently this girl sees things. She nods toward a nearby flower, the one they'd saved from the shade, now replanted in the sun and blooming bold and bright. Left where it was, something would have crushed it sooner or later. Given a real chance in the light, its true colors finally come out, and she wonders aloud whether it'll grow freer here. The same is true for him, she adds. He was absolutely sparkling when he ran. And then she says it outright. He's their best bet for the relay. No hedging, no doubt in her voice at all. She heads off, leaving Yuta rooted to the spot, her quiet faith in him still ringing in his ears. How can she be this certain of him? Why not just tell him he can't do it the way he half expects? Her confidence makes no sense to him. And yet, from just those few small words of hers, he's swamped by a happiness so enormous it nearly knocks him flat. She probably didn't think twice about any of it, he tells himself. Surely there's no hidden meaning. Still, something feels strange. His chest is absolutely pounding. But even so, he holds on to it. Tohno is still Tohno. He wants to believe her words, and he wants to live up to them. Above all, he's just glad she said them. Whatever this overwhelming feeling is, it settles the matter. He scrawls his name onto the relay roster, and a blazing festival summer begins. A new chapter drops into volleyball practice, where the coach chews out a sloppy, distracted team. Thrown off, it turns out, by Houjou idly watching through a window as she cools down. The players spiral. Is the famously adorable Houjou-san watching one of them? Is she secretly crushing on somebody here? Convinced they've got a hidden admirer, the whole team's morale rockets skyward. And just like that, Izumi accidentally lights a fire under the entire volleyball squad. Festival prep has the gang trying on borrowed cheer squad outfits, everyone hyping each other up for the big day ahead. Izumi struts out in hers and strikes a smug little pose, practically daring him to react. And right on cue, Yuta short-circuits. His friends pounce, ribbing him for gawking at the gorgeous Houjou and suggesting she cheer him on in the relay. Perfect, they grin. He splutters that it's weird and tells them to knock it off. The big day arrives. The one he only signed up for because of her words. And now, as the opening ceremony kicks off, just catching sight of Izumi is enough to set his heart hammering. Why is it pounding this fast? He slaps a hand to his chest, baffled and thoroughly rattled by his own reaction. First up is the ball toss, though his own race is ages off. Between the boredom and a cheesy photo with Rei-sama booth, his eye keeps snagging on that event. Because Izumi's in it, and she's flinging her entire basket of balls at the hoop in one heave, cheerfully clueless about how the game works, dragging the pink team down with her. Yuta can only despair. Caught spacing out watching her, he earns a sharp glare and a jolt back to reality, sheepishly owning up that his mind had wandered. Then a booming cheer cuts through the noise. His parents have turned up, loudly rooting for both their precious boys, Rei and Yuta, alike. They confess Rei's fan mob is far too thick to break through, so they've parked themselves by Yuta instead. Easier since he draws no crowd. He wonders, dryly, whether that was a compliment or an insult. Izumi proudly reports she sank 2 whole balls, and Yuta's parents are instantly charmed, dying to know who this adorable classmate is. She introduces herself politely, and his folks are floored. Yuta? Actually talking to a girl? They can't hide their glee, even as he pleads with them not to say anything mortifying. Then Izumi goes to bat for him with his parents. He lent her his umbrella, helped her when she needed it most. She knows, she tells them, exactly how kind Tohno really is. Utterly charmed, they invite her to swing by the house anytime, gushing about what a sweet girl she is, while Yuta quietly dies of embarrassment. They'd be genuinely happy, they add, if she stayed close to their son. Then they shoo him off to go do his best, leaving Yuta reeling at whatever just transpired. And Izumi lands the finishing blow. She'll be watching him too. His heart bolts off all over again, and he begs it, uselessly, to please just stop. We finally get Rei-sama's side of it. He's anchoring the relay, undefeated as always, and everyone marvels at how boldly his little brother is stepping up to face him head-on. Rei can't hide a smile. His brother swore he'd win this time. It's the first time in years Yuta's genuinely been fired up to compete. And honestly, Rei couldn't be happier about it. He quietly resolves to give the race everything he's got, then slips off for some water, turning something over in his head. What changed? Not long ago, Yuta went out of his way to dodge competing at all. And if his brother truly goes all out, Rei realizes with a jolt, there's a real chance he could actually lose. Back to the everyday. One morning, Izumi looks positively furious, and Yuta braces for the worst, only for her to silently hand him a piece of candy. Mystery solved. She was just hungry. Her glare, it turns out, was pure candy-eating concentration. She passes him a comically enormous piece, he grumbles about being handed random things, and the two crunch away side by side. It becomes a little ritual, the pair sharing candy each morning, much to the delight of their friend Murai, whose secret photo folder of the two of them keeps quietly growing. Back at the festival, the brutal heat drags on with 3 events left. Buoyed by Houjou's faith in him, Yuta has volunteered to anchor the relay himself, with Rei-sama waiting at the far end. But now, moments from sprinting in front of the entire school, raw terror sets in. His heart jackhammers as he demands to know why on earth he ever agreed to this. Overheating and frazzled, he's promptly swarmed with care. Water, something salty, a cooling towel, everyone fussing to get him race ready. Then Izumi hands him a fan printed to cheer both brothers at once. A "You've got this" for Yuta and Rei alike. A quiet echo of the very first small kindness that once caught him off guard. At last, the day's final event begins, the mixed grade relay. The crowd roars, every eye locked on the blue team's anchor, the dazzling Rei-sama. On your marks, get set, and Pink fumbles the very first handoff. But there's still a chance, the announcers insist, if they can just get the baton into Yuta's hands. Pink starts dead last, trailing blue, green, red, and yellow. Izumi watches, fan in hand, that little gift someone once gave her, as the race barrels down the track toward Yuta's leg. As the gap inches closed, Yuta asks his brother if he's nervous, and Rei admits something that reframes the untouchable prince entirely. Contrary to everything Yuta believes, he's always nervous too. Rei opens up. For as long as he can remember, deep down he always assumed that one day Yuta would surpass him, that his little brother would eventually be the one to win. Yuta jokes that Rei could stand to lose now and then. No chance. His brother fires back with a grin, because above all, he still wants to be a big brother Yuta can be proud of. The baton reaches Rei to a deafening roar, and Yuta's real feelings finally surface. His brother has always been his rival, sure, but also his role model, and his quiet pride, which is exactly why being compared to him terrified Yuta. Every contest only spelled out the gap between them, like a verdict that he wasn't good enough. But then, Tohno is still Tohno, isn't he? Up in the stands, Izumi thrusts her hand fan high, cheering him on with everything she's got. And in that instant, as the baton slams into his palm, something inside him finally goes still. The fear is gone. Yuta detonates down the track, not merely fast, practically flying, tearing past runner after runner and rocketing the Pink team from dead last all the way to second. It comes down to the wire, blue against pink, brother against brother, the entire field roaring as the two of them sprint for the finish. Rei edges it out. The GOAT keeps his crown. Yuta settles for second. And yet, as he gasps for breath, he realizes he feels far lighter than any defeat should ever leave him. Izumi finds him and simply says it. Good work. His friends swarm him over that insane comeback, marveling at how absurdly fast he just was. Even so, he turns to her and apologizes. Sorry, he says, for not living up to the hopes she'd placed in him. Her response is to seize his head and ruffle it furiously, to his yelping confusion. Disappointed in him? Not even a little. You were amazing, she tells him. And it lands. Normally, losing to his brother is nothing but a dull ache, but with her watching him, even that somehow feels entirely different. She heads off to rejoin the others, and Rei comes bounding over to his little brother with a fond pat on the back. Rei's still riding high, the most fun he's had in a race in ages, while Yuta just wants him to back off in this heat. Then it dawns on Rei. His brother pushed himself that hard for someone specific. It's because of that girl, isn't it? Rei smirks. And a flustered Yuta insists it's nothing at all. And there, with the boy who ran his heart out for the one who keeps him moving forward, our recap of Part 1 draws to a close.